friends, welcome back. Welcome to Vlogmas day number 3 and my porch makeover video number 1. I wanted to go ahead and get this video up because I know so many of you have been following along and you know that it has been a long time in coming. We had kind of just gotten started when we hit a huge problem and had to address that before we could go any further. So this has been postponed way longer than it should have been. It's ended up being taken way longer and been way more costly than we anticipated. But in the end, it is everything that I wanted it to be, and it's so beautiful, and I cannot wait to share it all with you. You'll have to come back for video number 2 to see the final reveal because we couldn't fit it all into one video. It's just way too much footage, and we just ended up doing way too much. So I guess I'm going to start at the beginning. Our original plan was to possibly replace the carpet, replace the stairs, replace the light, the mailbox, maybe do a fresh coat of paint if I was really feeling motivated. But that was going to be it. So when we started out, we decided that we needed to go ahead and take off the stairs because that was kind of like the big part that was going to be replaced, and I went ahead and decided I'll go ahead and paint. So we took one weekend and we painted everything. Marion and I painted all those little spigots, I think you call them. I don't know what they're called. The little, the poles all along the front. That takes forever. Marion painted the ceiling, and we got everything prepped and ready, and then we decided to take the stairs off. And that was when we hit a huge snag. So I'm going to show you all that footage in this video, but I wanted to tell you kind of what our original plan was, and then I'll let you know as we go along how things ended up changing pretty drastically. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to do, the very first thing, was just to sweep off all the cobwebs. This, time of year, we just have so many cobwebs in the fall, and I needed to just kind of sweep it all off. I really probably should take the power washer to some parts of the porch, but I felt like if I got all the cobwebs off, it would kind of give me a fresh surface to paint. So that was the first thing we did. So I went to Lowe's and I got this Valspar Season Flex exterior paint and primer in the color Ultra White, and it is the satin finish. I did end up having to pick up 2 of these because it took so much paint. So this paint, I guess, had been sitting a while. I had to stir it a whole lot, but it's really good paint and primer. So I used this. I'm showing you some of the spots. Like, this is around the door. You don't usually see these close up, but you can see how very badly. It needed to be painted. Madison and I actually painted this porch, but it's been many, many, many years, and it's something that I've dreaded and put off, but I figured if I want it to look right, I need to just take the time and repaint it. So I spent a good portion of a Sunday afternoon out here painting, and then Marion came out and asked if I needed some help, and I actually asked him if he could do the ceiling and the big posts. So together we got it all done in an afternoon or a day, pretty much a day, and that was probably about 2 weeks possibly before we were able to really start working on it again. So we painted it, and then we waited, and then we hit a big snag. So you'll see that coming up. So as I'm painting around the door, you'll see that I'm not really worried about it getting paint on the step, because I was going to go back in and paint that another color. So I didn't tape or anything here, because I knew that I was just going to paint over it and it didn't really matter. So these window wells really just need to be replaced. I need all new windows, and that's going to be a big thing. Hopefully in the not too distant future. I really, really want new windows. But for now, I wanted to just give them a fresh coat of paint. They look so much better when they have a fresh coat of paint. And eventually I would love to possibly build, maybe in the spring, build some window boxes and stain them and have them in these windows, because there were some window boxes in them when we moved in, and they were so pretty and so fun to decorate every year. And I have so many decorating ideas now for the spring and the summer. So I was showing you here how I had painted one of the railings on the stairs, and then over here this is what it looks like when it's not painted, and you can see the big difference. So I will say that since we decided to paint first, we didn't know what we were going to actually end up doing, what was actually going to come later. So a lot of this ended up not really being necessary, unfortunately, because we did have to take things apart and repaint, and some stuff we didn't reuse. So it kind of was a waste in some ways, but I'm glad that I did get the majority of what we painted did need to be painted. So you'll see later on in the video that we had to make some adjustments. Marion was such a lifesaver this day. I was just getting overwhelmed, and the sun was setting, and I thought, I am never going to get this done. And he was just so amazing. He came out and said, what can I do? And he ended up painting those big poles, and then he painted the ceiling. And after he painted the ceiling, you'll see he painted it white. And I really kind of, in my heart, think that I want to do something different. I think I want to paint it possibly like the color of my door, that icy teal color I love. So I'm going to have to see. Possibly in the spring, I'm going to do some updates to the porch, and I'll be, changing the color of the roof. I know that that's kind of like a southern thing to have your porch roof painted like a light blue, and I'm excited to try that. I definitely think that it's not going to stay white. The next thing we did was just cleared off the porch, and this carpet, you can see where the couch was sitting. It's in a little bit lighter color. It's where it hasn't weathered as much, but it's in bad shape. And honestly, when we bought this carpet, it was 9 years ago, and we installed it. It had carpet on it before, and I really didn't like it. And I thought the only thing I can do is just replace the carpet. And so we glued it down like so much. And then it started to come off because it actually wasn't an outdoor carpet. I think it was like an indoor carpet, but just really thin, and we didn't realize at the time that it wasn't made for the outdoors, so it did not really weather very well. So obviously my dream would be to have beautiful hardwood floor on my porch, and so at one point along this process we thought, okay, we'll take the carpet up and we'll just try and sand. Sorry, I got a text. Real life in the background. I thought we would sand the surface really well, and then maybe we could stain the wood and reuse it and not have to put carpet. But as we started going along, we realized that as we pulled the carpet up, you'll see in a minute, it was not something we could salvage. And so we had another idea that maybe we would just replace all the wood. We would just rip all the wood out and replace it, which is going to be a pretty big project. And that was the day that we found the big issue. That was what we were going to do. We were going to actually pick up Michael's truck and buy the wood at Lowe's, and we noticed that one of the pieces of wood looked like it had split. And so as Marion started to dig around and uncover the issue, we realized this is a much bigger issue than we originally thought. So then we did make some changes as we went along, which I'll share in a minute. So this is some spray paint that I got at Walmart. It's just $1, the Color Place spray paint, and my little spray paint gun. That's Rust-Oleum. I love it when I spray paint things. And this is a very old wicker bench that I've had on my porch. I don't even know, 15 years or something. I got it off Craigslist, and it's clearly has seen better days. And it originally red, and I painted it black years and years ago, and I kind of like that weathered look, but I thought, let me give it an update. So I just bought 1 can of spray paint, and I used it all, and I did as much as I could, but you'll see in a minute I went back with some black paint and just brushed over the seat where there was still some showing, just to give it a fresher look. And my plan in the future is to replace this. I would love to get something more modern, more updated, more comfortable for the porch, but for now we're just going to reuse what we have. And you can see it's got a big hole in the front, but it's sturdy. It doesn't have any issues with that. It's fine, and it is comfortable. So here I've just given it a fresh coat of paint, and then I'll come back in a minute and I'll paint with my paintbrush on the seat. So now I am going to paint this step. Marion replaced this. We had like a half moon shape forever when we bought the house. That's how it was, and we just have always had it, and I've always hated it. So I said, why don't you just build a rectangle step so I can actually put like a rectangle rug on it. And so he put this up months ago, and you can see it's weathered, and I should have painted a long time ago, and I am just now getting to it. But I also decided to paint this little piece of wood, this step going into the house, and I thought that they would be really pretty painted black. And I'm going to have to go back and do more than one coat. I just think since it gets so much traffic, I'm going to need to put more than one coat, and then I'm going to seal it really good with polyacrylic, just so that, you know, it can withstand all the traffic going through it. I'm just using this Walmart Color Place black paint. It's a grab and go. They didn't tint it for me. It's just black. And it worked really great. It actually has really great coverage. And this is the same paint that I went over and used on the wicker love seat. So we need to replace our mailbox. I'm going to show you what that looks like, but this is the mailbox that we chose. We got this at Home Depot. I'll link it down below. It was just like 17 something, super inexpensive. It's rust resistant Gibraltar mailboxes. Very simple. It's just going to be an easy, take the old one off and put this one on. So this is the old mailbox, and the top is broken. It rusted. So it just literally just comes right off. So we definitely needed to replace this one. So the new mailbox was a little bit wider, so Marion had to get different screws and kind of pull them out a little bit to make it be able to fit on it. But such a super inexpensive and easy. This was the easiest part of this whole porch project, but definitely needed. And if you saw a vlog a while back, I did reuse my old mailbox, so you can see how long it's been since we actually started on this project. But I reused my old mailbox and I put some greenery in it and hung it on my wall inside, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so now this is the part where Marion was going to take the stairs off, and he had to take the railings and everything off. He wanted to originally replace the stairs and make it's 3 stairs, and he wanted to replace it and make it 4. And these pieces right here of the concrete have always been loose and falling off. And you can see right there that wood at the top, it's split. And so when we noticed that, we thought, before we get into this huge project, we're going to need to check that out and make sure that it can hold a new set of stairs, and that this isn't a structural issue and everything. So Marion spent hours taking this stairs apart and unscrewing everything. It had so many screws. He actually built these railings years ago, and he built all the railings for our porch. When we moved in, they didn't have any railings at all. And so this took a long time, and our original plan was to take them off. And at this point, we had decided we were going to replace the wood on the top of the porch with new wood and just replace the stairs. But we had to get them off to uncover the damage below. here I'm just showing you some of, the layers of carpeting and wood and everything on top of this porch. So when we originally thought about pulling up the carpet, we thought we couldn't get it up because it was glued down so much, but it actually came up easier than we thought. So here you can see the damage. You can see that the wood is slanted. It's not holding the structure like it's supposed to. So we knew we were up against a bigger job than we were ready for. This was definitely not something that we could do on our own. So we had to hire someone to come in and fix it. And in a minute, I'll show you actually the moment when Marion realized we were in trouble. So here he is, almost finished, and you'll see when he takes a piece of the wall out, you'll see his expression when he realized this was a problem. So that kind of sealed the deal. We knew, all right, this is not going to be a quick and easy project. But we went ahead and spent the rest of the afternoon taking the carpet up, and you can see in some spots it's not stuck down very much because the parts where there was a lot of traffic or the weather really got to it. The parts closer to the house, there was more glue, and other parts it just came right up. But you can see the wood underneath is in really rough shape. So we did originally think about maybe renting like a commercial sander and sanding it really good, but I think it was just too far gone. And when we did have to have them come in and fix the structure of the porch, they had to rip a lot of the wood out. So we would have ended up having to replace the wood. But in the end, we decided on more carpet. And while that's not my first choice, it was the best choice for us for this porch. This time we did not glue the carpet down, we just laid it. So if we do decide in the future to do something different, it won't be as difficult. But you can see how old and nasty and dusty this carpet was. So it was a chore pulling it out, but getting rid of that dark, dirty carpet felt so great. It felt great to me. Marion's the one having to do all the hard work. It was pretty hard to pull up in some spots, not gonna lie, but he's pretty strong. As I'm watching these clips back and doing this voiceover, I'm trying to remember everything we did in order because it just got changed around so many times. And here we just, pulled up the carpet. We went ahead and put some caution tape up and closed off that end of the porch. And we knew that it was just a waiting game now. So we had a couple of weeks to kind of go over our plans again and refocus and reevaluate everything. And we did decide to make some pretty big changes. So my dream would be to have beautiful hardwood floor that was stained, and I could just sweep it off instead of having, to vacuum it or leaf blow it or whatever. You can see how bad the floor is there. It even has the previous carpet still glued to it on places where we couldn't get it up. But that's where we're standing now. We're just waiting for our guys to come and fix that. So in the meantime, we did go ahead and put up our light fixture. I'll link this down below. I think I got it at Lowe's a while back. I've had it for a while, but the previous light that we had was so bad. This house is like around 80 years old. We've lived here 17 years. This light fixture's been here since we moved in, and we've got the same one in the back, and it was definitely time to let it go. Although I really do love old things, and I couldn't part with it because I may do something with it later. just because it's kind of sentimental. You know, I'm like that. But Marion just, when we couldn't do anything else, he thought, well, I can at least replace the light. So he took this one off and put the new one in, and it's beautiful, and I love it so much. And I can actually very easily put a new light bulb in because the base of it is open, so it just makes it a lot easier. And it's in the oil rubbed bronze finish, which I love so much, which is in my kitchen when I redid my kitchen. And I just really love this new light fixture, and it's so bright. Make sure that you check the description box if you're interested in it. Okay, here we are finally. This was I think this was on the 17th of November when we finally had our workers come, and we were kind of not sure what they were going to uncover. When you have an old house and you start projects like this, you just never know what you're going to uncover. So he told us he had to replace one beam, but possibly more. And he did end up having to replace the beams on both sides of the porch, and then some running underneath it as well. So it was a pretty big project, but they were amazing. I mean, they were in and out in like 4 hours. And this is the state of my porch after a few hours. Well, actually, this was only about an hour for them to take it apart and see where the problems were, and to go get the supplies and all that. But in the end, we did have to pay a lot more than we thought we were going to have to pay, but it is strong and sturdy, and I do not have to worry about it falling apart. When they did have to replace all this, they had to obviously take the porch apart, so they had to take both of the columns at the end. They had to take apart some. This is the other side of the porch. They had to also take the railings off, and so it was a lot of deconstructing. And so we knew that once it was fixed, we were going to have to put things back together, and that ended up taking a lot more time too. But it is really strange to see underneath my porch. I've never seen underneath the crawl space like that. And then here they are just putting in the final beams. You can see from before how much more sturdy this looks. This wood is going to last forever, and it just feels so nice to know that it's secure and those poles are not going to collapse. The roof is not going to collapse. As soon as they left that day, we went to the store and we grabbed some supplies and we got to work because we had been so anxious to get this project started. I'm just showing you the new wood that they put in and how strong and sturdy everything is. On this side, we do have that big gap that we'll be covering up, and eventually our plan is to get rid of those big, huge concrete steps. We hate those steps. So this is something I wanted to do for a long time, and that is to put some cement blocks underneath the stairs because there's so many weeds, and then leaves get trapped under here, and it just never looks good. And so we decided now was the time to do it. So Marion just kind of raked it really good to try to get it level. And then we did go to Lowe's and picked up some square, just cement blocks. They're the cheapest ones they have. They're under $2 a block. And he was just trying to get them level, and it just looks so much better, and it's going to look so much better when everything starts growing again. I won't have weeds under here. I'm really excited really excited about that. After Marion got everything put back together over here, he just used this Flex Seal. This stuff is amazing, and it just sprays on the seals and it keeps the water from damaging it. And we do believe that the reason the wood rotted was because the water damage in that one corner. We have had our whole roof replaced and our gutters and part of the roof of the porch, and so hopefully now that this is done, we won't have any more water damage, and it will last us now forever. So I told you before, Marion wanted to replace the steps with 4 stairs instead of 3. I didn't want him to, but it was what he wanted to do, and so in the end, that's what he did. So we do have like a very small step at the top, and then we have 3 steps down. He thought that might be better for my mom. She's handicapped, and he thought it might be better for him when his back is hurting. So that's what he's doing here. He ended up replacing. He didn't need to replace all of this, but he went ahead and did it. And we did need to replace the top of the steps. The wood was just really, really weathered. And I think in the end, I'm still deciding, but I think I'm going to stain the top of the steps and paint the base white. So as of this voiceover, I have not decided, and I have not finished those stairs, but right now they are put together. So they're functional, but I've not exactly decided on the finish yet. So now Marion just has to, the long task, or the daunting task, of putting things back together. He did the stairs, and now he's wrapping the columns again with Jackson's help. When we moved in, we just had these metal columns, and they're very old-fashioned, but there were no railings, and we really wanted railings, and we needed columns to connect the railings to, so we just wrapped them in plywood. And so, you know, they had to take these off to fix the underneath. So it took a while to get these back on. Jackson was a big help, and then he was able to put the railings back up, and then we could actually start, you know, doing the fun stuff. So you will notice in this video, it's over many, many days of filming, different outfit changes, different times of day and night. So just in case you're wondering, this literally took us weeks and weeks and weeks. So I'm trying to get it all together, pieced together in order, and trying to, you know, do a voiceover as I go so you'll understand what's going on. Marion did actually have to take all of these off because he ended up putting a piece of wood underneath each of these sets of railings. He did just have a little block of wood in the center supporting it, but he ended up putting this whole big piece of wood at the bottom of each of them. And the reason for that is because we have decided, after changing our minds so many times, we have decided that we are going to enclose this porch and make it a screened porch. So if you know me, if you have heard me talk about it before, that's my dream, is to have a screened-in porch. Now, ideally, I would love my deck to be a screened-in porch, but I don't have a roof for it, and Marion doesn't feel qualified enough to build the roof. So our front porch has a roof, and I have so many dreams and so many plans for a screened-in porch up here, and I'm so excited that this is becoming a reality. Now, I know this is not for everyone. Not everyone likes the look of a screened-in porch on the front of your house. Not everyone would agree with this. But in the end, Marion and I wanted to do what is best for us and for our family. And I envision sitting out here in nice weather with my animals on my lap. I can do my editing. I can just enjoy the weather. You know, I'm a weather watcher. It's kind of like an extra room in our house. And so because we decided to do that, obviously, it's going to be a whole lot more work. You can see the screen down there on the ground. We ended up buying pet screen so that our animals will be safe and they won't be able to scratch it or get out. And that will all be coming up in my next video. But you'll see in this video that we are starting to do the framing. And this one end of the porch has always been open, and we have concrete steps and a terrible old sidewalk, and we really, really hate them. And we want to hire someone to dig those up and get rid of them. So right now, I decided on this end I wanted a wall instead of railings, because I kind of want the privacy on this end, and I can put my little love seat over here. That was what we decided in the end, was just to put a wall there. And so he just got some plywood and screwed that up instead of putting a matching railing on the other side. So you'll see how it all comes together, but it is a lot more work, and Marion has been an absolute trooper. His back is hurting, his whole body's hurting, but he has worked nonstop to get this done for me, and I cannot wait to use it. So on this day, we did all the framing, and this was a very cold day, and trying to work around the weather has been a challenge, because when we started this project it was nice and warm, and of course now it is not. It is December, so it's been really difficult. There's been days we have been freezing. Praise the Lord, this week we've had beautiful weather. Today it was 70 degrees and it's been wonderful. But this day we just had to keep going. We just had to keep pushing through. So this is the other side of that wall. That will be finished and painted, and it will look a lot better. But I just was giving you kind of like a glimpse of the first framing. So Marion just went ahead and did the same thing. He just used these, I think they're 2x2s, and built frames. The screen that we got is 36 inches wide, so we had to have, you know, spaced out wood every 36 inches, and the opening at the top was bigger than the wood was long, so he had to actually build a little extra piece at the end to put on to make it all fit. And he's amazing. He did a great job, and it's all very sturdy and strong. And then we're able to staple the screen to it, and it's going to hold up to the animals and the people and everything. So this is a look at what the framing is going to look like. And I wasn't really sure if I liked it. I thought it might not look right from the street, but once we get the screen on, you'll see how it transforms it, and painting everything white and it's cohesive. It really does look a whole lot better. So now I'm just taking the same white paint and just painting these frames he built, because before he can put the screen on, they have to be painted on the inside. So that we are not professionals in any way, and we kept having to like redo our plans, and we would do something and then we'd realize we need to do this before we can do anything else. And so it was constant trial and error. And so when we put these up, I wasn't even thinking, oh, I need to paint them before the screen goes on, because obviously I can't paint them once the screen is on. So it was just constant. It was kind of a headache just trying to figure it all out. I think if we ever did this again, we would obviously know, the order of things. But in the end, it's fine. We just kind of winged it, but it turned out really great, and I hope that y'all like the end result. I definitely love it. So on the other end of the porch, where we will actually be coming in and out, Marion wanted to have it be a lot more sturdy, because we're actually going to be putting a screen door over here. And so he bought these 2x4s that were treated. He said they actually inject them with some kind of fluid, so they are insanely heavy. These are so heavy. So they're definitely going to be sturdy on this end. So he built a frame on each side of the door, and then he built a header on the top. This was not an easy thing to do, but he did amazing. The space is not a perfect, rectangle, so some of them boards had to be slanted and angled, and he just did such a great job for not being a carpenter. He tells me all the time he's not a carpenter, but he does a great job. So this took a little while to get this framing in. In the next video, you will see how everything came together. You'll get to see the new door that we chose, the carpet that we chose, how everything looks with the screen on it. I'm so excited. So make sure that you come back for video number 2. It's going to have all the finishing touches. It will definitely be worth it. I'm also going to be decorating my porch for Christmas, which will be super fun, and let you know all the ideas that we do actually have for the porch in the future. So this was the end of a very long day. We were absolutely exhausted. We are so ready to have this finished. But make sure that you come back. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.